When you were using your mixer, the hub cover fell off into the bowl? Believe it or not, I've seen this more than once. This screw gets loose and this hub just falls right off while mixing down into the bowl. Make sure to keep it right, keep it tight. Let's take a listen. Oh, that does not sound good. Let's take this thing apart and figure out where all that noise is coming from. The first thing we notice is that the head bounces up and down really bad. Let's fix that. I mean, after all, that's why I invented the Everdyne. Super easy, we're just gonna remove this screw in the neck, slide the screw through the Everdyne, and then screw it back into place. We've essentially eliminated all of that bounce. And the paddle's no longer gonna be riding the bottom of the bowl and chipping like this. Alright, let's see what's going on the inside. We're gonna take this back cap off. I'm gonna need a Krabby Patty because this thing is a crusty crab. We're gonna remove these screws on the band. Honestly, not as grotesque as I thought it might be. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still dirty, but I've seen a lot worse. To finish getting to the internals, we gotta pop off this drip, punch out the planetary pin, and then pull down the planetary and remove a handful of screws. So there are 9 screws in total. There's 5 around the head here, and then 4 on the body. There's 2 here, and then 1 on the back on each side. This mixer's actually missing a body screw. We see it fairly often. They just kind of rattle themselves loose and into the void they go. No worries if you lose a screw because we actually have upgrades that come with lock washers. That way they never rattle out again. With all the screws out, this top half just now separate. Take a look at all that grease. It actually looks pretty dried out. Take a look at that. It's more like tar than it is grease. Look how fragile this gasket is. It's literally just cracking. That's going to lead to this machine just leaking everywhere. But no worries. Here in a little bit, we're going to hit it with some new grease and a new gasket. But first, we're going to have to clean out all this old stuff. That's a spice of meat the ball. We need to remove this center gear. We're going to have to tap up with a mallet on this shaft. Doing so will reveal this pin. Let's go ahead and remove it. With the pin removed, we can tap it down out of place. Now we can go ahead and just remove this gear. Next, we got to get all the old grease off these gears. If you don't have a mallet or scrapers, we do have a kit that comes with both and a grease and a gasket. This worm gear is a fail-safe gear. It's made out of plastic and it looks okay, but if you come to this other side, you can see it's absolutely shredded right there. Not only that, but a huge portion of it is broken off from the bearing. At this point, we assume this is where a lot of that noise came from. We need to remove this tower. There's 3 screws. 1, 2, and 3. Let's remove and replace this gear. We're gonna have to punch this pin out right there. With the pin removed, this center shaft just pulls out, allowing you to pull the worm gear. So we're gonna replace the worm gear and all of the washers, but if you find it easier, you can actually just pick up a worm gear assembly. Check it out, we are all greased up with a new gasket. Alright, let's go ahead and drop the head back into place here. Alright, let's get some screws back in here so we can test this bad boy out. The moment of truth. Doesn't sound that bad. Take a look here, you can see the speed plate surging. You see this little piece of copper just kind of bouncing? I'm gonna have to put a little work into the rear end. But we're almost out of time. Let's get it cleaned up. This thing's pretty nasty. You can see it's got a film on it, and it's also got a lot of just crusties. Let's hit it with the tub of towels. Now you can tell this machine is pretty rough. Look, it's all scraped and scuffed up. But as you can tell, Tub of Towels did a great job of shining it up. Check out our YouTube for any DIY follow-along. Check out our website, MrMixer.store.